Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of Rain Day Gaming. My name is Rain Day, and today I'm excited to talk to you about the Drogoz Nerf. That's right, for you Drogoz players out there who play Paladins, Champions of the Realm, a game I cast and very familiar with. We have a lot on the channel. The balance notes for OB39 have come out today, and Drogoz is not on the good end of that. Basically, he got a change to the way his thruster, his booster works, and essentially his mobility in the map right now. And I want to kind of throw some gameplay footage beneath my commentary of this so you can see what he looks like now without that booster, and kind of compare and contrast what's going on and whether this nerf is really going to impact him. I definitely want to first off just throw out the idea that this is gonna kill Drogoz. I really don't think that that's the case. I think a lot of people, especially people who love Drogoz and love the way he was being played, will be a little bit on the trigger happy side of this is the worst thing ever, right? And I don't think it's that. I don't think any of these changes are, especially in an open beta type game where changes can be reverted very quickly the very next patch or the very next day with a hot fix. So I wouldn't be too worried about that, but I will walk you through what they are. Basically, Drogoz at a certain point in the game recently was able to have an insane amount of mobility for his kit. He's able to thrust up into the air with these rocket launchers, but the thing is, he's got this booster that's kind of like this extra just jetpack boost. You press spacebar, instead of jumping, you just kind of hover, and you can hold it down. He's got a level of fuel that could burn down, and as you're doing that, you can rise higher in the air, but the key that people found out with him was when you thrust up into the air really fast, you gain momentum, and as you fall, you gain gravitational momentum as well, like you would if you were falling down in real life. Your gravity would pull you faster and faster at 9.8 meters per second squared, and you would gain that velocity heading downwards. And if you boosted, you could actually maintain that velocity that you generated, which is an insane amount, and actually kind of like skate on the ground or skate around places just with a little bit of booster fuel and just like go around the map. I mean, basically Drogoz can run circles around people, and that was around maps, and that was I don't think that was how the champion was intended for in terms of a design perspective, his boosters and his thruster to work. And it was something that felt really good. It was really awesome to do, but playing against Drogoz, it was a bit unusual because he could have just as much mobility as any flanker when really he's more of a damage champion. He's not a flank, right? He's damage. He's got big AoE blasters, rocket launchers. He's not necessarily supposed to be that guy that can get to a Kinessa before anyone else. That's where Eevee comes in. That's where Buck comes in. That's where Androxus can come in, right? That's where these types of champions can shine. And Drogoz was able to do this just so well and get out of situations, get out of dodge, as we like to say, very, very effectively. So what's happened is that I'll read the notes here. Through card combinations and precise timing, Drogoz players were able to exceed boosters' maximum speed for long durations of time, allowing for an unintended amount of mobility. And that is when the designers are saying, this is not what we intended this champion to do. A lot of times in open beta games, you get into a rhythm, especially for players who have played since the beginning and all the iterations, where they think this is it, right? This is what the purpose is. And sometimes it's just that systems haven't evolved. Maybe it's just that they focus their energies on one thing, or new champions or new maps, and they haven't tweaked the old. And you always have to go through your champions and really take an honest look and say, is this the purpose of this champ? Is this what I really meant for him to do? Is this where he needs to be as we make more characters and more maps so that he fits well into the meta and doesn't do 2 or 3 jobs himself? Because I think with Paladins, I think the direction from what I see, and this is not from a design, I'm not guaranteeing anything, I'm not saying I represent the design side and their decisions. I'm just saying, as a guy who casts esports, I could see that there are a lot of characters being introduced to have a purpose, a very specific purpose, so that when combined together, create really interesting dynamics and matchups that can counter other teams. Shaolin, perfect example, great counter to tanks and shields, which was something that was very, very prevalent in earlier metas of Paladins, and is a great introduction to the game for that reason. His Q planet being one of the best ways to get rid of shields very effectively. moving back into it. So that's kind of the mode with that, and I think that's a really good thing to keep in mind with these changes. Next, with the new booster behavior, he can still momentarily hit high speeds, but will not be able to maintain them. And so what that means is that you can still get that high speed for a moment, but you will definitely fall off. You will not be able to skate across the ground and go map to map end. You will be able to go a little fast and then kind of get back to where you were. And so this means that they implemented a gradual speed reduction to booster when they surpass the max limit of speed, and now also it's actually disabled for a second after you're knocked back. Speaking of Shaolin, if he knocks you back in the air, your actually booster is disabled for a second, so it can kind of feel like a cripple, it seems like. As you've been watching with the footage underneath, obviously Drogoz is still a viable champion. I mean, this is a game with people who know how to play it, and a very, very, I think good match. And you can tell that what I'm doing a lot of times, yes, I have mobility and it's not the same as I used to have, but I'm still effective. I'm still helping us to win this game. I'm still I'm still hitting rockets that are doing over 1,000 damage just by pressing F. I'm hitting multiple targets for 1,000 damage each just by pressing right click and shooting that with left click. That is exactly how Drogoz can just be so dominant, and of course a one-punch ultimate is something that is so valuable, and it forces other counters for enemy teams. Otherwise, it's just like, yo, free kill every single time. You got to get a Fernando on your team, otherwise Drogoz is really going to have that free kill and take out that frontline tank, which Makoa seems to be after his buff. So it'll be interesting to see if Drogoz is left on the table or if he's actually picked up, because there is no hard counter Makoa has to the Drogoz. Just get rid of it. Despite your Ancient Rage, there's nothing you can do about that Dragon Punch. So it's really interesting, and I wanted to actually just offer my 2 cents. I think the champion is going to be okay. I think that this is going to hurt for people who want and to feel the old way Drogoz felt, but hopefully this really puts him into the place that he's meant to be. Now, is there a way to make it feel better? I don't know. Is there a way to kind of give him a little bit more speed? That'd be awesome, and I'm sure the design team is always looking at ways to improve it. And if you have any feedback on things you'd like to see in terms of this development, how it'll get better, or maybe some, suggestions you might have, leave them in the comment section below. That's what the comment section is for. And if there's anything really good, I'll definitely comment on it. I'll comment on as much as I can, as I like to do in my YouTube, but I'll also be able to take that in and maybe communicate a little bit, internally, to see if there are some next steps we can take. And I'm sure I would be beating a dead horse by saying something, because I know design is always well aware and ahead of me in a lot of these regards that I bring up. But sometimes they're not, and you can't do everything. You can't there's only 24 hours in a day. You cannot get it all done, and it takes a community of people who are able to put in thousands and thousands of more hours collectively than one person to be able to give a great feedback sometimes about a specific issue. So I do look forward to hearing that, but overall I think Drogoz is just in a good spot. I like him. I'm not gonna lie, I like him, and yes, he does not feel as good, I think, but I think that that's just because we were given a little bit something more than we really should have. Now, do I know if they'll revert it? Do I know, if there will be some type of, we're just gonna we're gonna go back to the way it was? I don't know, no idea. It could happen, it may not. I wouldn't expect it. I would expect to try and get used to this Drogoz. I think the key now, as I become a better Drogoz player, is to really look at different ways of utilizing him. Maybe, you see the shift in Paladins where changes happen, and this is really important to be aware of. When changes happen like this, it doesn't mean a character's gone. It maybe just mean a character disappears for a weekend or two until somebody comes up with another strategy or something becomes the meta, and then that champion is really good at countering it, or that champion is really good with a card that gets buffed, and suddenly they're back in it. And I think that just with Eevee, saw how this huge nerf to her playstyle with the sword cards and all of these things took her out of the meta for a while. She was able to jump right back in after only a few weeks, maybe a month, and be still one of the top champions that the design team is forced to kind of nerf and change a little bit. Because not only She does pretty well, but I mean, perception, just Eevee just seems so strong because she can do a lot of really good things still. And I think Drogoz will still seem strong. I think he'll still seem like a very good champion, but I'm very interested to see how this all plays out. I wanted to update you all with the nerf, with the adjustment. I would definitely consider it a nerf, but I wouldn't consider it a negative. That's the kind of thing. It's just different, and I think different will always take a second for people to adjust to and get used to. Thank you so much for watching. If you do enjoy these types of videos, I haven't done a lot of these for Paladins, where I've kind of talked about a topic and given my thoughts and expanded on it so that the community can listen and have some feedback and gain some discussion. Let me know. I'm totally happy to do more of these, and hopefully the insight was valuable to you. And again, I really want to hear your perspectives. I want to know what you think, and please tell me in a way that can get something done, right? Constructive criticism, talk about what you like, talk about what you don't like. That way there's a much clearer opportunity for someone to be able to take that feedback, look at it legitimately, and say, hey, this guy's got a really good point here. He didn't just say, screw you, Rainday, you know, you suck, Drogoz better, you know, get fixed, you noob. You know, it's like, okay, all right, this guy, I'm not seeing, credibility is not just steaming off of this comment right here. So I might just move on to the next one. But thank you so much for watching, guys. As always, remember to subscribe, like, comment, and share the video if you're interested in it. Check me out on twitch.tv/rainday, streaming most of the days, probably be streaming tonight. And as always, remember to never give up, never stop gaming, and I'll see you all next time.